Welcome to the Inside Integration Podcast. My name is Chris. I'm joined, as always, by my partner, Jason.
What's up, everybody?
Today, we are going to talk a little bit about disasters you've been a part of, which I'm saying nicely, but what I really mean is maybe disasters you've caused or
Oh,
disasters
sure.
you've been thrust into. Um, I was kind of thinking about it this weekend a little bit. I was doing something with my kids and like trying to show them how to do something, and in my head the whole time I'm just screaming like, "Wow, I I did this for a long time. I don't remember how I learned how to do this." And then it just kind of dawned on me that like, no, I fucked up enough stuff to finally get to the point where, I was somewhat competent.
You
But
swept enough turds under the carpet and then squished them later to realize that there's an arc of learning there and you're a part of it.
there's more horrors hidden in the head ends of New Jersey and the cabinetry of New Jersey that we can. It's been 25 years. Those houses aren't there anymore. It's fine.
No,
No
that
no
all
worries.
those component video wires have long been removed and
all those
re-terminated as something else.
all those S video connectors that I soldered that I didn't feel like resoldering and then just stuck a piece of paper between the contacts. They've
Oh,
they've never failed. They're
it-
fine.
what are you talking about?
They
Yeah,
they
that's
survived.
all. That's sound engineering, I think, right? That's just kind of how that works.
That's how you pick that up. And like honestly, I mean, I couldn't tell you. I thought about it the other day. Like I couldn't tell you the last time I soldered, right? Like it seemed like we had to, we used to have to solder connectors all the time, right? Like RCA cables and those big 5 cable RGB HV wires and S video and that kind of thing. Like if you wanted custom lengths, you were in there soldering behind the rack and getting it done. And it's it feels like it's a lost art, right? Because now everything these days is like it's compression ends. It's what are they, planet waves, that it's like a
Yeah,
twist lock and turn a screw,
boy,
like
I gotta say, I think probably for the best.
totally, totally.
Given the declining skill sets that we see out there, and I'll be honest here, like I've certainly soldered some things in my life, but was that ever my favorite thing to do, or was that my top skill set? Absolutely not. No, no, no way. Whether it was inferior equipment or inferior ability, I'm not going to cop to either one of those, but it's definitely some combination thereof. And yeah, some of that fine detail stuff really is pointed at a group of individuals that I have to say just probably doesn't exist in in the volume at least that
Sure,
they once did.
sure.
There aren't guys that have graduated in legions from car audio into
Right.
custom install. And if they did, given the car space now, I mean, there's a I was going to say a curse word. There's a harness already pre-made
Right.
for every head unit meets every car already on existence. So all you have to do is know how to take the car apart and put it back together and plug some garbage in and you're off to the races. So
This is true, and I mean, credit to manufacturers for making that part of things
oh
easier for
god.
sure. And credit to these guys. Like, obviously, we were never going to be able, once HDMI kind of hit its stride, right? Like, you're never going to be able to solder like 19 pins of HDMI, right? Like, that was never going to
No.
work.
A
So
machine can barely do it
the
because half
machine,
of those cables
exactly.
come out fucked up.
Exactly. Well,
I mean,
yeah. What's the fail rate on those for
I
some
don't
reason?
know, but it's
Um,
high.
what's nice though is that we've got some variety, right? Like now you can get every single size. I mean, you remember back in the day, it was like you could get 3 meter or 1 meter or whatever. So you'd have these racks with just snakes of HDMI. Now it's like I think Snap offers like a tenth of a meter in whatever variety you want, whatever color you want. Um, which has definitely changed things, right? Like, and it kind of makes this all possible. So you can really dress a rack, and you can, you don't have to have, oh yeah, that's a service loop, right? Like you don't have to have 30 feet of cable just tucked next to your cable box, vertically.
Yeah, well, we started off talking about install nightmares, and you're
Oh,
describing
it plays.
one of those pretty well, several of those pretty aptly. I mean, having done, personally been responsible for some pretty nasty, large sized pre-wire, homes. I mean, 14,000 square foot house has got got some chunks of wire that
Yeah,
come out of it,
sure,
right?
sure.
Like, and they all land in a specific room, and then you get to argue in that room with the other trades over what wires are going to land where. And oh, I'm sorry, I was going to put my switch panel there, and oh, well, this is where the HVAC stuff goes. And I'm like, well, the fuck it does, because this is where all the
Is
wires
he
in this
here?
house.
No.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I don't know. My first thought of like some of those install nightmares is that confrontation in a 2 by 4 room with a plywood floor and a bunch of hammers nearby. Like people can get really spicy really quick if they get
Yeah.
bent out of shape, and
Well,
it's
yeah.
everybody's livelihood, right?
And that's I mean, that's a good point too, because it used to be a lot spicier, back in the day, right?
Oh
Because
my
now
god.
you've got, obviously your established trades, right? Like plumbers have been a thing since people started shitting inside. Electricians have been a thing since people wanted to see inside. But like
Sure.
low voltage guy or AV guy, I mean, we're very far down the totem pole. And
Yeah.
20 years ago, we were even more, we were
Yeah,
even
when you
further
look
down.
at yeah,
So,
think of all the countries around the globe, how old they are and how young America is.
right,
CI guys are the America of the trades. A history of trades, I think,
right.
right? Like with a young, arrogant whippersnapper that shows up that knows how to do everything already.
Yeah, exactly. And when you've got, you got the you're again, you're new to the scene or whatever, and like you're trying to explain to the trades again, go back 20 years, right? You're trying to explain to the trades that hey, there's going to be a 6.5 foot rack here full of all of this equipment that's going to get, there's one rack here, it's just VCRs. There's one rack here, it's just
Right.
amps. There's another rack, like here's all your switching gear and everything else. Oh, yeah. And this chunk of wire that's the girth of a garbage can is going to have to go in there. So, no, please don't put two electrical panels
Yeah,
right
right.
where I'm putting them. Like, I would really appreciate it if you didn't do that. But, we weren't really able to assert ourselves back then. I mean, we were, but you were very oftentimes looked at like, look at this guy, this is stereo guy's
Yeah.
gonna
What are these?
tell
At
me I
least,
can't put my panel here. Like, well, actually I got trough work and, and all this stuff. It's going in.
right.
I got it right here. I'm putting it in. So, like whatever you want.
Yeah, man. Oh, yeah. Just I think back about that again, just the nightmares. Like all of this conversation is unlocking doors that I had compartmentalized so long ago. Like I can think about a job we did for a production builder. It was the first show home, and we had a war of the trades because there was going to be like 16 things happening in this utility closet, but
Right.
nobody had really ever thought about like, okay, well, some of this is temporary, some of this is permanent, some of this is whatever. And the I'm not sure which trade it was. I want to say it was drywall maybe or something like that. But somebody got really pissed off and just went through and flat cut all the trunk lines
Oh yeah.
in the house
Oh yeah.
at the at the mud ring.
Oh,
So it go to like stick your hand in, and it's like, well, why is like, and through all the other the other parts, they threw all the wires away.
right.
So they just
Well,
flat cut them and
they didn't throw it
chucked
away.
the
They got copper scrap weight value for
well.
all of those
Well, that
wires.
again, that was kind of my first thought was like, okay, what kind of crack monster has been in the house
Right.
to try to steal all this copper?
Right.
And then I looked out the window and I'm like, oh, this is a gated community. Probably not a lot of those
Well, I mean,
rampantly just traipsing through the neighborhood, and certainly not kids
no.
around. I mean, this is a house that with
Think
a
of your job
locking door
site.
on it, right?
Think of your job
Um,
site. It was absolutely the framer or,
it, oh,
or
it
one of the
was
drywall guys.
some finisher got pissed off about what was happening in there and just said, "Oh yeah, well here we go." So I can remember panicked, calling the builder, of
Oh yeah.
course, and
Sure.
it's Columbo gets out there with a cigar to try to do the detective work to figure
Whoa!
out
I never seen anything like this before.
try
Columbo.
to
That's
figure
the
out
perfect description.
who had done what, right? And then this is the days before job site
Of
CCTV
course.
or
Yeah.
any of that
No,
stuff.
definitely.
But yeah, so unsolved mystery, Robert Stack. There's a whole episode about it. And I'm like, I'm still traumatized thinking about having to cut that wall open
Uh-huh.
and trying to surgically graft on I mean, I can't even
And
think.
were these structured cables? Like, were
Oh,
these,
this was every structured wire
2
for the
coax,
house.
2
So
cats in each jacket kinda thing?
there's RG, yeah, exactly. So we have
Oh,
structured cable, there's control wire, there's Crestron in this house. So, of course, we're promising the client that there'll be no issues with any of the control panels because sure, you just cut the drain and all the cables flat on a Crestnet cable and stitch it back together. What could possibly go wrong?
back in the day.
you
Oh,
know
yeah.
so yeah, my partner and I spent, I'm not kidding you, I'm sure we spent the better part of a week in there, at least 5 days for sure, like full days,
Oh.
pulling those jackets apart, cutting that stuff apart, and there's only room for one guy in
Oh,
this
yeah,
room as
sure.
it is, so we're both like,
Yeah.
like
600 degrees, yeah.
soldering and, the builders profusely apologizing to us, the site
I'm
supervisors
surprised you got
profusely
that.
no, because they knew that this was a bad deal,
Oh.
right? Like there was a trade that was mad about something,
Mhm.
and probably may or may not have been arrested
Yeah.
for some other things that
It's
happened
just
in this house.
just to make sure we're on a safe pit. Florida, right?
Oh, what?
Yeah,
How
okay.
did you guess?
Just checking, just
Yeah,
checking.
just throwing it
Sure.
out there.
Yep, got it.
I mean, I've seen a lot of stuff on a job site. Seen some fist fights, seen some guns pulled on
Yeah.
people. Seen a few things, but
Mhm, mhm.
that's not restricted to the Sunshine State. We'll say that. But yeah, we managed to stitch all that stuff back together, pull it off, execute it, and I mean, I can't tell you how fast. The last day when I walked out of that house, I ran like a scalded dog to my van to get the hell out
Oh,
of there.
that's a great feeling.
I almost laid 11s down in front of their house to get out of that neighborhood fast as I could and just try to never be called back to that residence ever again.
Just you see it pop up, and that's just one
Oh, and
I don't
I
take
did
this
service
call.
calls there completely unrelated to Crestron, completely unrelated to some other things, and I kept waiting. I was like,
Yep.
It's coming.
It's the house of
There
cards. Sure.
there's there's a turd underneath that mat over there, and somebody's gonna step on it one day. There it goes."
Yeah, man, I had a lot of those with back when I started, we were doing tract homes, and you would do a package for a house or whatever. So like you'd
Sure.
have your technology package, and it
Yeah.
was speaker wires for every room or whatever. And when you do tract homes, it really isn't, you're not looking at grade 5 drywall finishes and that
It's a
kind of
Cat
thing. And
5 and an
you're
RG6
yeah,
drop in each room,
right.
right?
And yeah, you're reading it like right off of a printout sheet, whatever. And there were certainly times where things like that happened. I mean, an entire house. I remember, me and the electrician bonded because, you know, the drywallers covered up every single outlet in the entire home, right? Like we all, we set our boxes, we made sure the heights were right, like they were, protruding where they needed to protrude, and like this crew just came through and just slapped pieces of sheetrock onto these walls and didn't cut out any outlets or any devices or anything else. So, being young at the time, I'm like talking to the electrician, like, oh man, they kind of screwed both of us. Like, what do we do? And it was like for this guy, it was like the moment he had been waiting for his entire life. Like
Yeah.
he
Start
reared
swinging a hammer.
he reared back. The first one wasn't even a hammer, right? The guy reared back and just kicked right where his outlet should be in the wall. And I swear, I mean, he made a hole like it must have
Oh,
been
yeah.
like an 18-inch diameter hole. and he found his box. And then, he switched down to, I guess he got his aggression out and he switched down to the hammer. And I even let him find some of my boxes, which was
Yeah,
which was nice
sure.
on my part. And probably got a couple of rooms into it or whatever. And like GC comes back from wherever he was. He's like, what's going on? It's like they buried every one of our boxes. You didn't notice that? No, I had no idea. It's like, oh, all right, well, good. Let's, here you go. So yeah, that was I think that was maybe the second or third work week that I actually was doing this stuff. So yeah, I got brought into it early for sure.
Yeah. Like, when you think about how deep the water gets, for a young technician, right? Like, you come from a certain place. I came from pretty well established car stereo background, pretty confident with that. I was by no means a rock star, but I can still make some kick panels for your mini truck or whatever you
Sure.
want, right?
Sure.
But to then, and then also having like an AV background in sales and being a what do you call it, a film and video student, I kind of figured like, okay, I can put a studio together, I can wire this stuff. And then you get into a home. And then you're
What?
left by yourself, right? And you're like, "Oh shit, there's nobody here to ask anything, and I have to make this look right and, try to show that I'm actually a value for the people that are paying my paycheck." And that value proposition wasn't the first one that came to mind, but just like self-preservation, like, I need to keep this job. What do I do? You know what
Rent's
I
due.
mean?
Rent's
Like,
due. Yeah.
what do you do? Like, I mean, that panic moment of, "Oh shit, I haven't been here before," like, whether it's in a trim out phase or you find out what we're talking about here, even like after the drywall's up, how badly things are fucked up
Oh,
because you've got speakers in odd places that they looked fine when you were standing there looking up at the trusses, but you realize they're, 18 inches off
they
and
changed the lighting plan 4
yeah,
times since you hung those pieces of cardboard.
oh my god, I've been burned by, you know, the customers and absolute audiophile freak out about where speaker placement is,
Sure.
and these are lasered in exactly where the couch is going to be, and then you come back and ring is pulled off of the ceiling and there's HVAC like running right through where that big speaker is supposed to go, and it's like,
Well, I mean, let me, yeah, let me give you the entry level tech perspective is how pliable is that duct? Because what you're gonna end up doing is you're gonna do some
yeah,
metal work today
so
and you're gonna
yeah.
crush that thing down so that your speaker can get in there.
All
And if it
right.
rattles every room in the house, hey, you didn't put the duct work in there.
So we've joked about this. So this, I don't know, this I didn't ask you about this before, but this is really the career murder career. What is it? Murder
The
suicide
Murder Suicide
podcast, I
Podcast.
think,
Yes.
for careers, anyways. Like, what's the dirtiest shit you're willing to admit to on a podcast that you've pulled off
Oh,
to get a job done? And I'll go first. Man, I can think of
that's good.
I
I need
can
some time
think
to
of
think
a
because there's
few.
been a few.
I was gonna say there's been a couple, but man, there was one that I did with my partner Alberto, and shout out to Alberto out there, man, because me and this guy definitely put some work in together, and we were doing a finished job for a customer that had some built-in cabinets that had like big display, and then the cabinets would pivot open so that you could get inside the cabinet and do some stuff. And I
Sure.
don't remember exactly if it was electronics behind there or just more storage or what was going on, but somewhere in the midst of opening and closing this cabinet 5 million thousand times, we scratched the absolute shit out of the finish on the bottom of it to the
Huh.
point where like you open the door and there's no way that you're not going to see this nasty protruding
Sure.
gouge
Sure.
in the finish of this
Yeah,
walkway,
you're not
and
fixing that. You're not fixing that with a brown crayon or a
you are
walnut or
not.
whatever
You are
trick,
definitely
right?
not, and now that
You
I
gotta
think about it,
sharpie
the
that
reason
spot.
no, no, no,
Uh-uh.
this is not that place, this is not that world, right? Like, you were and it's go time, right? Like, we're in panic mode, so it's, you know, okay, figure out like where are we hitting here? Like look at the hinge, look at the door, look at the where this little wheel is or whatever it's supposed to click into the detent to keep the door shut. And that's what had caused the scratch. So we're kind of like, well, this is inevitably gonna happen, but I don't want to be the guy that points it out for the client.
Right.
So
Right. Well, and
uh,
that's a big part of this too, is when you find something that somebody that you know or are close to did something, do you really
right,
oh boy, right.
janky.
That's
So
hard.
we take Alberto and I take one of the pieces of shelving with us and we disappear off to not Home Depot, not Lowe's, but we go to like the local. And I don't know why this is just serendipity, but there happened to be like one of those like lumber supply kind
Right.
of store
Yeah.
things where we were at.
Basically a sawmill,
A
essentially. Yeah,
100%
sure.
like a sawmill for
Yeah.
like furnitures and these guys had every wax and color and stain and thing, and this guy's looking at it, and this dude was probably 90, and it's like, 2000, what was it, like 2002, 2003, something like that, and he's like looking, oh man, knew the kind of wood right away, all
Right.
this stuff, like,
He
well, hey
probably
man,
made it
like,
to begin with.
it, there's a high possibility that's the
Huh.
truth. But we told him like, hey man, like if you scratch this, what would you do? So he's like, thinks about it for a minute, hums and haws, and he's like, "Well, like, you can't really fix it. You gotta refinish the whole thing." And I'm like, "Well, what if the hardware was the thing that scratched it, but you wanted to just sort of like, you know, maybe not make that so obvious?" And he's like, "I got just the thing for you." Like, reaches into this, like, bin of those wood crayons like you're talking
Yeah,
about,
sure.
and it was like he's, like, holding up this thing to the shelf, and he's like, "Yeah, it's this one," and hands Alberto and I this fucking crayon
Yep.
and goes, "Out you go." And he's like, "What you want to do is grab some of this wax and like once you rub the crayon on it, wax the entire thing so it doesn't have like any uneven light and it'll sort of like smooth it all out
Right.
back together for a
Right.
minute."
It'll dummy it up for you.
So so Alberto and I are crafting a way to, make sure that A, the client doesn't see this, the builder doesn't see this, the homeowner, like nobody sees this. Just he and I are the guilty parties. And whether we were or we weren't, we were the
Sure.
ones that were responsible for it. So we fixed this scab or whatever, finish it, wipe it all down, and of course we're wiping down the whole cabinet to not make it completely obvious
Mhm.
that there's this one shiny thing. And of course, get away with it. Like
Yeah.
homeowner, builder, they're opening the door a million times, step on there, like, "Hey, you know what? This piece of hardware is like starting to wear a little groove into the
Nice.
wood here."
Pointed it out like you're the hero, like, "Hey, I just wanna
And
save you
I'm
guys."
just like, "Hey, like, I don't know." And they're like, "Oh, like, I guess they maybe missed this." And there physically was supposed to be like a little channel for this little ball bearing thing to
Yeah.
ride in. So it
Sure,
wasn't
sure.
anything like, malice intended, but
Mhm.
we both flew into a panic, and I'm pretty sure I shortened my life by a good year at an early point because this is like a foundational piece of this
Oh, yeah.
entire
No, it's some
cabinet that
bespoke
was not
thing,
going to
right? It's
be
the center of the
easily
house. They
replaced or
built the house
repaired.
around it. Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
so it was somebody else's problem. Thank God. At the end of the day, I think the homeowner ended up just like getting the builder to channel in some metal stuff or do whatever to make it work. But
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
that holy effing crap moment, that's one that still lives with me. Once in a while, I'll think back to Alberto's face. He's like, "Did you do that?" I'm like, "Did what?" And he's like, "Look at the floor." And I look down, there's like sawdust curling up around the edge of this little wheel. And I'm like,
Ooh.
"Probably did that. Probably my
Mhm,
fault."
mhm.
So, anyways, there's
Ah,
mine.
yeah, I mean, I have more than a few. I have a
Oh, I
lot
have more than that.
from
That's an easy one.
from when I started. I also have a couple of real good ones from, people I was working with at the time, and, a couple other ones. I think the best one that was, from a guy that I was working with on site was, we were in an apartment in New York City, really, really high end, marble and all kinds of stuff, and everything's handmade and custom. And there was a room that was basically like, it was like a theater room, right? Like um, you might see it in almost like an attic space, right? Like when they convert like an attic space to a theater and there's a couch and whatever. Well, the end of this space was like dead space, and that's where some equipment was. So this guy went out to site, and he had noticed that the room was getting a little bit warm because there was some amps in there and some other stuff. And essentially you had this space that you could like walk into, like it was a low, closet door. It was a dead space, so you'd go inside and all the gear was right there. So we had to get some ventilation in. And this guy goes in. I'm working downstairs, he's working on this is like, item number one on the punch list or whatever. And we, we're each doing our own thing. And comes downstairs, "Hey, I'm done, you ready to go get lunch?" "Yeah, let's go, this is great." um we go get lunch. He gets peeled off to go to another job. I go back to this project, and I'm like, I'm at the end of the day and I'm looking through my list, and I go upstairs, and okay, that's cool. Yeah, he had to drill through this wall, and he had to put an exhaust fan on it. I think it was like an active thermal management or something, right? So it was a snorkel and exhaust fan with a plate. So I'm looking, and I'm in the closet, and I'm looking, and I see, okay, this is good. It's got the thing. It goes to the thing. And then it occurs to me that, the couch is butted right up against this wall where this exhaust port would be. So I'm looking, and I scooch the couch over, and there's a 4-inch hole in the side of the couch where this guy just went right from the back, right through the wall, and right into the side of the couch, and then shoved the couch up against the wall so you wouldn't even know. And this is like we're talking. This is a bespoke couch. This is a multi-thousand-dollar custom made whatever. And like the guy just had a brain fart and didn't think to, or he scoped it out or whatever, thought he had enough room and just made a mistake or whatever. But yeah, he put 4 inch, cups off right through this thing. So,
I wasn't
you know,
expecting a leather
yeah,
leather on the end of my drywall, so
yeah,
that's
it
weird.
was one of those deals. And like, I mean, I asked him about it and I was like, hey, what do you want to do? And he was like, "Oh, I didn't." He denied it up and down. Oh, I had no idea. I didn't even know. And like, meanwhile, like I'm literally looking at this thing, and there's a hole, and then there's the finished plate over the hole that he was supposed to drill. It's like there's no way,
Right.
right? And the guy's just playing dumb. Like he just totally wouldn't cop to it. And I knew honestly, like in my head, like you get these like thoughts when you look into the abyss, right? Like it's called the call of the abyss. So in my head, I'm thinking, the couch was right up against the wall. Nobody will ever know that this hole is there. It's not going to provide any kind of ventilation because you're literally filling up the couch with hot air. But you know, I could just leave this. And nobody would know until they move this couch, which they're probably
Right.
going to move it to throw it away.
Sure.
So, but no, we I had a chat with the project manager, and I had a great project manager at that point. And he took the
Took the hit.
he took the hit. He talked to the client. I was a helper at that point. So this guy like went to the interior designer and was like, hey, listen, one of my guys really screwed up. Like he just totally came clean, cop to it, whatever. Like, hey, I'm here with my hat in my hands. What can we do? What do we need to do? Talked to the interior designer first and said, hey, I really hope that this isn't just a total replacement. And luckily it was like, no, we can just seam rip this panel and put this new and like it was it was a big deal, but it wasn't replace the couch of a big deal, right? So, again,
Yeah.
like that was one of those lessons where like, if you come clean, it's not going to be as bad, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, so that was probably the best one that I've had a colleague do on my watch. But um, one of the worst ones that I've done is essentially, we were running wires in a house and we're trying to get into a kitchen wall from down below, and I had it all measured out. I knew where it was. I could see where the nails were for the things. I could see where the trim nails went in. So like I knew where the trim piece was and whatever. And what I didn't factor in is that they changed the orientation of this kitchen at one point or another, and the old nails were still in place, and the measurement was really close. So I ended up I put like a 3/8 like bell hanger bit basically up through the ceiling, and it just popped out in the kitchen. And there was the kid was doing homework like right there and saw the whole thing and like immediately ran off to like so and I'm still like in the
Trying to
basement, right?
kill
So
me.
I'm downstairs, and I go up, and it's for forget what it was. It was like a network jack or something that was going to be in the kitchen, or maybe a
Sure.
touch panel or something, I forget. But basically I went up, and this is before I knew what like a feeler bit was, like those little
Mhm.
teeny tiny, whatever.
Yep.
This is before I even knew what that was, and there was nobody real senior on the site to kind of guide me through that.
Guide you.
So
Yeah.
I measured the shit out of it. I thought I was in exactly the right place that I needed to be, and I didn't take into consideration that like, yeah, there was already a wall here, so there's some old nail holes and nails sticking down, but it's actually over here and whatever. So yeah, so that was fun. I did that, and
How'd the
like
client feel about that one?
I mean, I literally went I literally went up through um luckily it was like I mean, I don't say luckily, it wasn't a masonry like tile kitchen floor. It was some kind of wood or some kind of engineered, thing. Um but I went up, and it was so totally noticeable, right? And like as soon as I went through, like I heard the kid yell
You
from
see
upstairs,
daylight
like,
coming
oh
through the
no.
door.
And well, yeah, and you pull the drill down, and like you're looking up at like the bottom of the desk or whatever. And yeah, so I came upstairs, and I explained it, and the client was real pissed. But
Oh,
luckily,
yeah.
like I had a pretty good relationship with them by that point. Like I had been in their house for a couple of months and whatever. I just again, like I just came clean. I was like, listen, I really thought I was in the right spot. This is what I should have done differently, but this was the outcome. Let's figure this out. I'm going to talk to my project manager. Let's talk to your flooring guy. Let's figure out how we can make this right. And like, yeah, I forget what it was. It was like they somehow, I mean, trades, like when you fuck up in a house, and you kind of you're contrite and you come to the trades and like and kind of treat them like, listen, oh
They know
great,
how to fix some
oh
shit.
yeah, oh great exalted flooring guru, I beseech upon you to save my ass, right? And like you come at people that way, and a lot of times you get a pretty good result because you get somebody who's kind of looking to show off that, hey, oh, I could totally save your ass. Here we go. It's going to cost you a case of beer, but this is what I'm
Right.
going to do. And yeah, they were able to, like, they cut it, they popped out this tongue and groove, they put another piece in there. You would never even know that it happened. Flooring guys are like that. Drywall guys are really like that. Like they can really like,
Man,
you
you're
know,
triggering so many memories. We had a deal where we were putting a satellite dish up on a roof with Spanish tile,
oh
and
god,
my helper walked and broke every fucking Spanish tile that he could. I'm like, dude, you don't step on the low part. Step on the seams. Walk on like where they overlap. That's where
did
you
they
step.
did they break and then slide down
No,
comically
no,
as he
no. They
went?
just they
Oh,
just split
oh god,
to the point where like again like I was like, this is a house that's ready to go for occupancy.
yeah,
Like this is
sure,
hang the satellite dish on it,
yep.
spit it,
This is the last piece. Yeah,
yeah.
sure.
So and literally like the roofers are there like finishing the tile on the other garage or the third garage or whatever of this house. And I'm like, I know I'm like run like sliding off of this roof like Bruce Wayne or something to go over and talk to these guys and just like, look, like my guy fucked up here. And it's my fault because I'm the lead on this and I
Right, right. The buck stops here.
should not have been on the roof with this goof, but I needed him to carry some stuff that I didn't feel like carrying. And I wanted him to sweat and suffer as much as I was. So he's up here with me. What do we do? And to your point, these guys were like, looked at it at first like, you fucked up. I'm like, oh, I know. I'm aware.
Oh yeah, they'll
You need to tell
yeah
my partner here that
they'll rake
he's
you
off the
over the
hook for
coals a
this.
little bit,
Oh,
to be
you
sure.
need to make him feel like absolute dog shit for
Right.
this. So whatever you need to do, like if you want to throw him off the roof right now, I'm okay with it. He'd probably accept it because he felt like an
Yeah,
absolute
it felt like
shitball.
crap too, sure.
So like it was only fun to fuck with him for a little while, but whatever. We got through that. Again, these guys were like, yeah, don't worry about it. They're digging through the cast-offs of the tile that they didn't use for this
Mhm.
house, and they're sticking pieces together and making shit go together. And I'm like, you
Craftsmen,
know,
like
shimmy,
absolute
shimmy,
artists, right?
shim sham, shimmy dog ham, whatever. This is gonna last for the next 30 years. Okay, great. And I've driven past that house every time I go to Central Florida because you can see it on the way to my parents' house. You can see the house over the wall in the exact spot where we were walking. Satellite dish is still up there,
Sure,
so
yeah,
that's
it makes sense.
exciting.
It's probably rusted to all shit,
But the
right?
roof still looks the same. So apparently their repair worked. I'll
Well,
speak for that.
and
That's all I can say.
that's the other part of the old saw where, like, when you drive around with your kids in your town and you're like, "Oh yeah, yeah, dad worked on that one, and dad worked on this one." It's like the other half of that is like, "Oh yeah, I worked on that house. Oh man, you would not believe
How jacked up it is.
you would not believe how much we screwed up on this thing. And they flooded the second story bathroom and it made a waterfall down, like
Oh
and
man,
your kid could give a shit, right?
busted the pressure to hit a pipe while they're pressure
Oh
testing the
god.
house. That's happened to me twice.
That's
Not that I
Yep.
hit the pipe, but my helper hit the pipe,
Oh,
and literally twice in the same month.
yep.
Where it was like, what are we doing here, bud? Like
Ah,
you're killing me, Smalls.
we
But the flip side of that, I think, is, for customers out there, pick the reputable firms that are
right.
going to be there if you have a problem, that are not
Honesty
going to
goes a
do
long
the
way.
shim sham
You,
on you.
you want technical proficiency, you want a good team, and you want honesty because
And
people are going to
good
make
liability
mistakes,
insurance.
right? And $1 million umbrella policy to
Yeah,
start, right?
100%. Are you bonded? Because you're not stepping foot in this joint
Sure.
unless I can see an assurity bond that if you fuck this place up or burn it down, you can replace it.
Bingo, bingo. So yeah, that's so we'd like to we'd like to invite all you sitting out there and listening if you're if you did some time in a field, everybody's got
Share
stories like this,
your
man.
horror stories with us. Absolutely, that's a great idea.
Yeah,
W
100%. There are
You can
and
send them to us anonymously, no names, but we
yep.
will know your
We,
email,
we,
so
we will not, yeah, we will not attribute them, but we would love to tell your horror story on our show.
please do.
And
Yeah,
you'd
send
be
us a
going a
voice
long
note.
way. A lot of people go through this life thinking that like I'm the only one who's ever experienced this, and I'm the only one who's ever been in a situation. It's like no, at least
You're
as far
not.
as custom integration goes, like no, 1,000 people have walked the same have walked the same trail as you, have
Yeah, nobody's
drilled
ever
into the
been
same
pregnant
pipe.
before.
Right,
Right?
exactly. Every pregnancy is new, right?
Yeah,
So
you're on an island.
so
Nobody's ever done this before.
yeah, so give it to us, email it to us, hit us up, and we would love to tell your story and share it with our audience, and
Absolutely.
probably relate to it in a very meaningful way. So
Agreed. Well, and we wanna see you wearing your Buffet Badger shirts, out there. I thought about this a little bit, like, maybe that's not the right shirt to promote. We really gotta get on the Concierge of Cool shirt because nobody maybe wants to necessarily admit to being a badger. I will happily
yeah,
proclaim my badgerness, right? But,
completely.
some other people wanna be a little bit more low key about it, I understand. But, we gotta work on some other designs. That's our show notes, I think, for the next time.
Yeah, agreed. I'll get right on that with all the time.
Yeah, with
Uh,
all your spare time.
maybe July,
Yeah,
maybe
okay,
right.
well, hey, you gotta tease it a little bit to
Yeah,
get the excitement up.
fair enough. But thanks for joining us today, everybody.
Absolutely. If you haven't followed us already, check us out our YouTube channel, check us out on the Instagram, at, inside_integration. Again, we got the YouTube channel, you got Chris's hard work, you got me just hanging on to his coattails blabbering, so come and hang out with us, and, if you've listened this long, we love you, we appreciate it, and take care, everybody, bye-bye.